you guys. Welcome back to Infused Queen Tea Podcast. And this is your host, Latanya Vibes. And welcome to Rolling with Latanya. Imaginary mic and real mic in front of me. Vibes. How y'all doing? How y'all doing today? Y'all, like, I'm in a good flow. I'm just going to let y'all know that today. I'm in a good flow, and I hope you guys are too. And I don't care if you are tuning in on YouTube, Patreon, Spotify, and all of the other beautiful streaming platforms, but I hope that you just realize how important you are to me, how you should let that motherfucking light shine through today. And ain't nobody stopping nothing when it comes to your goals. All right, can I get an amen? Clap it up. All right, y'all. So today, I'm going to have to take a sip of water first because this is how stressful it's going to get. This ain't your normal conversation that Latanya be having, okay? This is a little bit low vibrational. But it's going to get some high vibrational opportunities for the future. You feel me? All right. So today's episode is basically near and dear to my heart because not only did I learn two things. For one, when you become an adult, you're going to have to parent your parents. And for two, it taught me how the space of us controlling information can lead to a lot of misinformation. And then when we decide to do the things like, allowing regulation of cannabis in states that were originally a hell no state, right? You can see that a lot of that misinformation could lead to a lot of like issues within the community of people that live there. And y'all know that if I'm saying you're raising your parents and I'm talking about Kentucky, that this got everything to do with my mama. And I finally had my told you so. And then and so you could have went. All right. And tell me and keep going. Hey, what? Hey, you wait. I had, yes. Yo, so this whole entire episode is catered to how my mom got scammed by trying to get her medical card in Kentucky. Sorry, I said Florida, but in Kentucky. Y'all ready to hear? As her child not only like creates content, is a medical patient, but basically is pushing and advocating for education in cannabis and the proper use and intention behind becoming a qualified medical patient and the symptoms and side effects of that. So, when they say people don't use their resources, and this is for you, Nicole, if you listen to this, when they say people don't use their resources, yeah. So let's get into it. First, I want to say that any of the cannabis products that are consumed or mentioned on this podcast in this episode are not solicited or sold by me. Okay? I'm not a solicitor. Okay? Today's intentional strain because, baby, I'm going to need to calm my motherfucking nerves because this has been... It's been keeping me up for the last few weeks. I'm not gonna lie. Because she'll like bring it up and forget that she brought it up to me type vibes. And then I'll remind her the whole conversation. And I say, you remember I had said this and you said, I heard you. So it's been that vibe. So we are going to kick off this episode with the intentional strain of the day, which is Melancholy, that you can purchase at Surterra Wellness. It's a dispensary here located in Florida. Whenever I went on their website, I think they are located in other states. But for my Florida peoples, if you have your card, check out Surterra Wellness. They have some fire ass deals. Loyalty points is on key. And I really actually have no complaints about the flower. And I'm not going to lie, like, no complaints on my ground, like I forgot what they call it on there. I think it's ground flower still. And even on their whole flower, honestly, I like the fact that sometimes I could find the strands that I get whole flower in ground. So then I'm like, oh shit, actually, okay, y'all done hit me with a little random ass little concoction, a little Powerpuff energy. Okay, these are the 3 ingredients. So melancholy is basically a sativa strand dominant. But for me, y'all know how I feel about a sativa. I like to stay away from them because I have anxiety, baby. But for me to be an anxiety patient and a major depression patient, they actually are very, very much really nice for me. It's not a very heavy sativa. It gives very much social. When y'all see me doing my thing, melancholy is probably the culprit. Okay? Especially in social environments recently. I like the fact that it gives me my creative flow. I don't feel so mentally blocked, and I feel like it's a strand that I can work with. Like, I feel like I could use it in a day-to-day instance. It doesn't put me on the motherfucking ground. It doesn't have my ass worried about whatever situations we have going on constantly in a day. And I appreciate a strand that could do that for me. Now, as far as the terps, I try to do my research to get the terps for you, but I couldn't find it. Terps definitely give when I'm smoking mycene, citrine, because they are sativa, based. Like, those are the side effects they give off, the symptoms or whatever. I'm saying it wrong, but oh well, y'all know what I'm talking about. That is the emotion, energy that they give off, Bob. But I actually like this one. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. And so, I know, let's talk about what I actually called y'all into. I didn't hit the blunt. And let's go ahead and discover what the intention of this motherfucking episode is about to be. Because the intention is so fucking important. Like the intention that they had scamming these motherfucking patients in Kentucky. And I'm going to slow down on my words. That way that y'all can actually properly get the message that I'm trying to portray. Basically, this episode is to educate and spread awareness about medical cannabis regulations and the precautions to take when transitioning with a new state. So, originally when I moved out of Kentucky, one of those also pushes was that I wanted to be able to live in a state where cannabis was legal. That way, if I ever consumed, because like I said, originally when I left Kentucky, I wasn't a cannabis consumer. It was only until I moved to Florida where I actually started getting into it and actually practicing it and using it with different intentions. Overusing it, underusing it, and just learning actually what works for me, because I realized that literally, baby, it's messing with your chemical makeup and we are all completely made differently. And so for us to be consuming certain medications, because that's exactly what a medicinal, right? When we are consuming medicinals of any sort, regardless if it's Western culture or Western medication or even the new wave, any of these, right? We all should have our own trials and practices with it, and not everything is going to work for me that it would work for you, right? So, for one, I moved from Kentucky to Florida so that I would be able to practice in a safe, legalized state without having to feel so much judgment and criticism because of the lack of awareness and knowledge of the people around me. And also, I didn't want that limited ass belief and information to be passed on to me when I knew there was more to it than what everyone had been leading on to, portray. And so, I moved to Florida. And even after, it took maybe a few months into me living here, almost a year, I want to say. I think it actually was a year. It took me a year to actually get my medical card. And when I got my medical card, because I was blessed enough to come to the state whenever it was actually a little bit more, have more structure and order to it, meaning they had their medical providers, they had their doctors, they had their nurseries, they had their dispensaries. They had so many things already set up that really it was about like the right person telling me the right info. And I will never forget my Samantita from work, because she was the girl that kind of put me in the right direction, right? So when I went through that whole process, I honestly felt guided. I know that's not everyone's actual experience, but for me, I felt actually very much guided through the experience all the way up until the actual process of trying the products and learning about the different dispensaries and weeding through media highlights and actual like fact, you know what I'm saying? Like all these things. I was happy to come into the medical space in that type of environment versus it being in the way that Kentucky is currently operating under. So March 16th of last year, 2023, they passed the bill. Let me give y'all exactly the bill that way, just in case y'all wanted to look it up. You would know. So last year, like I said, on March 16th, 2023, SB 47 bill was approved in Kentucky by the Senate, baby. Okay, under Governor Brashear. My bad. I apologize. And basically, they approved it, but it would not go into effect. The effect is very important. It will not go into effect until January 1st of 2025. Just like a lot of my people, they got excited, okay? Because a lot of them have been watching and witnessing other states kind of basically cook. You feel me? They're watching how it's opening up jobs. They're watching how it's opening up opportunities. They're watching how when they're allowing the legalization of it, now they get to challenge a lot of these previous cases that these people have been placed in. You get what I'm saying? Criminal wise. It's given a lot of opportunity and chance for abundance. And so a lot of people, including my mother, was so excited about the bill being passed that they were just gung-ho jumping into it, right? And I was someone that read the headlines, and it was very, very, very much, it was a few headlines out that I would actually read. None of them actually gave dates, or they kind of was like quick, ooh, Kentucky Medical Cannabis has been approved. Governor Brashear, this is the plan, this is the plot. But it really wasn't given any information. It wasn't given any resources or references to where you could go to find out information. And so I could see, I'm not going to act like the people of Kentucky were completely like it's their fault. Like, why didn't you? It wasn't really their fault. It was a lot of people that were aware, and a lot of people who were very much not aware, and you're letting the people who are aware kind of play around and make it their own little playground type vibes. So, one afternoon, my mom calls me and she goes, yo, I know you've seen the news, because my rule was that if Kentucky was to ever, because I kept making that my end all be all just in case, right? Just in case. Because I felt like they would never even, like, legalize it. Let's be real. I thought Kentucky would be one of those states that stand on business, right? And would not legalize it in any form, whether it be medical or recreational. God has a way of making you eat your words. I get a call from my mother going, hey, did you see the news? Ready to rub it in my face. I said, no, what's up? Kentucky's legal. Ready, right? I'm like, that's cool, but when is it legal? What's going on with that? What's the dates? What's tea? She ain't give me no tea though. So something told me, look it up. I said, hey mom, if you give me a little bit, because I realized that because it's a new state, I'm going to need to go to the source. I'm going to need to go to whatever the medical, like Florida has the Florida OMMU site. I'm going to need to go to Kentucky's OMMU site. That's a lot to say. And I'm going to need to see what they got going on and who are they endorsing currently as the medical practitioners and who will be the nurseries and who. I want to know the deets. I want to know when will it be allowed and how much will be allowed. And what's my recommendation? So I told her, I said, hey mom, give me a little bit. I'm going to do my own research. Don't just jump in anything. I'll call you back when I find something. Finally call her back not too much longer, and I let her know, hey mom, they're not going to allow it until January 1st, 2025. Now I'm over here like, whew. Because I wasn't trying to move back, okay, right now. No. Mama, there's some things I got to do. But I basically let her know it was not going to be legal, so just to wait, and that to follow this site, and I gave her the site, which I will post or put inside the comments for all my Kentucky people. It was the kymedcan.ky.gov site, and they basically give you all the fucking updates, information, links, everything, bro. Like, so simple to search, and if you don't even want to search all that, all you have to do is type in medical cannabis Kentucky, and it pops it up. Don't look at all these practitioners that pop up on Google, because anybody could put a motherfucking ad on Google, baby. Anybody. Like, you do not have to be legit on Google. And that's how they got them. So, fast forward. I let my mom know, my tea, hey, don't do it. I'm going to put this out for a second. Don't do it. Wait until it gets closer to time. They'll have more information. As y'all hear me sipping this drink, do you think that my mama listen? By the fact that we having this episode, do y'all think my mama listen? And didn't. Nicole Wilson goes online and goes, medical providers in Kentucky. Finds a medical provider. I'm going to give y'all the name because I'm going to need y'all to... We gonna get more tea into it. The company is called Kentucky Cannabis Clinic, okay? And she found them because they were listed on Google as a place that, or as a medical cannabis physician that had an office in Louisville, Kentucky. And it was like downtown Louisville, Kentucky, near like Bardstown Road vibes, right? So I asked my mom, well, when I went and seen my doctor, I know, like, of course, because whenever I went, it was like that transition in COVID. So eventually they started doing new patients virtually. But even then, they went back and forth on that. Like, they went back and forth on so many things that I'm like, Mom, I don't know if they're going to be qualifying people for their card way before So my mom, she sends me the link to this place, and I'm looking at the fee. Fee's $149. I'm like, okay, that sounds about reasonable for a medical doctor. That's what they charge me here. But I'm looking at the setup of the page, and it's giving y'all lived in a medical state, and y'all just literally took one of the pages that other doctors use and just added it, right? They literally made it look like it was a page, but I can kind of tell that, like, y'all can search it. It looks a little shady, shisty. You feel me? So I asked her, like, what documents were they asking her for? Because I know that in Florida, they were very meticulous about the documents. Oh, you need this from your medical provider. You need this. You need this. Your ID needs to match. Where do you live? Like, because all that shit matters. Like, it really does. Because when they issue out your information, it is going to be to you, registered to you. Like how they register a gun to you, how they register a car to you. All those things are a process, baby. And I promise you, just like those cars and everything, it's coin. It's coin. And I'm not even worried about that part. That's not even the meticulous part. It's the fact. So I'm like, Mom, what information did they ask you for? She's like, oh, they asked me for like something from my doctor showing these qualifying conditions. I went online. I did verify that any of the conditions that she had technically would, because on the KY site that I mentioned earlier, the Medcan site, right? They list what the qualifying conditions might be, and they will change, of course, which is why you continue to check. They will take some on or put some on. They might take some off. But that's the point of checking. And because it's so new, just follow along. Because by the time it does actually take place in 2025, it will be a like solidified, putting that in the positivity air foundation for the entire state. And so I'm like, they ask for your medical documents, check. Okay, they ask for this, check. You paid your fee. They do the same thing that other doctors do. So I'm like, okay, but Mom, I don't know. I don't trust that. Like, I just don't feel like you should do it. So she does it. She calls me because she is up at night one day watching News Channel 32, which is our local news back home. And she goes, Tanya, you wouldn't believe this shit. I said, oh, man. It's just like a parent. You know how when your kids be like, Mama, it felt like that. What is she going to tell me? She goes, did you know I got scammed by that medical doctor? And I said, what medical doctor? Because, like, you get what I'm saying? She's grown. She got all her different doctors. Was it the podiatrist? Was it the motherfucking gastroenterologist? Who was it? Was it the primary care? Was it your GYN? Who do you need me to consult with? Because I had became my mother's consultant, which is I was like, I realized we become our parents' parents, right? So she hits me with, I went to the appointment. It was online. When I went to the appointment online, I realized I'd never seen the doctor. It was like a black shadow or whatever, but it never showed a face. And she kept asking the guy, or because it was a male voice that she was hearing, she kept saying, hey, I don't see you. Can you see me? Can you see me? And he was like, yes. He acknowledged that he's seen her, but completely disregarded the fact that she doesn't see him. Continues on with whatever the fuck he's saying, right? She's like, for me, it felt like it was like a automation recorded because of the way he spoke. It was very much like, like he just was repeating, like, which also he could just be reading a script for real. I'm sorry, I just keep getting stressed thinking about it. So, oh girl, she goes, he doesn't show his face. He runs right through everything, doesn't answer any of the questions I ask. And then he actually never reviews any of the medical documents or anything. All the flags is up to me. And then to seal the deal, he goes, hey, we're going to go ahead and issue you your medical card per no medical review in a state that is illegal technically all the way until January 1st, 2025. And we're going to issue this card on paper, which, like other states, right, they issue your first card on paper, they mail you your second card. Then he goes to let my mom know, not only are we going to give you a paper card and that's the only card you're going to get, you can't even purchase cannabis in Kentucky. You must go to the surrounding states, which he listed Ohio, which I believe currently is recently became recreational. You're telling her to take her fake ass card that you issued in Kentucky to go purchase medication, right? Illegal medication in other states. And when you cross that, you ask her to go across the state line to go purchase medication somewhere else, show a false ass card to get it in a place that is legal that you don't need but an ID to go in and buy it. You charge me $149 to recommend me to a free state? You charge me $149 for a medical advice that you weren't even qualified to give? Not even just on the medical tip. You feel me? Like, you could even... Then you take it a step further and abuse my ignorance, right? And go across state lines illegally, old ass black woman. And I'm saying that with respect. I know I said old ass, but what I'm saying is he ain't saying that shit to me because he know we would have never got on that line. Baby knew it was a scam from the first scam lightly, dead ass, just going off. So I let her know. I let her explain all the way because now how I just was having that whole conversation was how I was having it in my mind and not trying to have it out loud. I let her know. Well, Mom, did he let you know? These are the questions I need you guys to consider, right? When I became a medical patient here in Florida, there were a few things that I noticed were very, very important by law that you can kind of weed out a lot of the bullshit if you know these. The first one is no state that will issue you a license will tell you to cross the state line with the medication that you purchased in theirs, nor will they send you to another state to use your card to get the medication. And the reason why is because might be state legal, but federally it's still looked about as a federal crime. And so because of that, you must be so intentional about like how you move, and especially when you have something linked to your name. For two, whenever they do issue you that license, right, and they are telling you that you can buy it in this state and this state only, they're going to give you two things. They're going to give you a prescription, right? And they're going to give you a doctor that can prescribe that prescription that is registered under the OMU so that they can watch how they are like administering medication to the other patients by law. So they're going to give you a prescription. The prescription means by medical recommendation, this is what you should be using. This is how much you should use of it. This is like, so the milligrams, this is the terpenes you should use. These are all these things. These are the methods that are available to you. All those things come with a prescription, but they also come with a legal limit. There's the limit for per day for your prescription, right? But then there's also the legal limit that you're allowed to possess. One is more about your health. One is about the law. So, for instance, me being a medical patient here in Florida, I am prescribed, I think, like 2.5 ounces a month here, right? But I think that you're not allowed to have more than 8 ounces. I'm not even going to quote the amounts. But I know that there's a certain amount that I'm not allowed to have here. I haven't like touched up on it recently, so I don't want to quote old ass numbers either. But I remember there was like a certain amount. Like they'll put an amount like, oh, you're not allowed to have over 8 ounces in possession on you, right? Or I know for sure that here in Florida, I think you're allowed to grow 8 plants as a medical patient, right? That's saying you can have this, but also there's a limitation. And also, if you cross this bar, you are in like jeopardy of losing not only your card, you're putting yourself in legal jeopardy. And I just feel like we already struggle as medical cannabis users for jobs, society, and how you're just viewed. Let's just like go with emotion until we can create the flow. And the reason why I say that is because, like, it's those little things that, like, they will take that shit, run with it, and create a whole nother bill to go against our right to be able to consume what we find to be medicinal and helpful to us. So, anyways, that was the two things I said was to watch for one, all states that are medical are going to give you a prescription and they're going to have a legal limit. For two, 3, you must see your doctor. Not like that's just medical practice, okay? So your girl, she dabbled in the health field for a little bit earlier in her career times. And even in medical settings, there was never a time that a doctor, including the doctors that worked with me and that would like, they were actually my primary care doctor, there was never a time that they ever seen me or treated me without actually physically seeing me. And I mean that whether that be virtually or whether that be in their office. All medical providers are required to see who they are treating and administering like assistance and aid to. They also must see them to know that they're the ones practicing and covering under their name. You get what I'm saying? So that was my biggest thing with that too. Like, medical providers for cannabis are going to be licensed through the states who practice in Kentucky. And so the best way, because it is easy to get on Google, boom, 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 and they pop up. But I recommend going on to the medical site that they do have already up and checking out what doctors that they will have, and then also going from there. The biggest tip I will say that I did not consider as a medical patient that I have also paid attention to this year was the fact that there is technically not a limitation on how much a medical provider can charge you, but that also leaves the abundance of opportunities up to the patient, right? For you to be able to go outsource and find more than one doctor. At least they're not like monopolized in that sense yet. Y'all don't prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I feel like they haven't operated in that sense where they're monopolizing over the doctors to where you are able to find some doctors that are qualified to practice, are on the registry, right? Because what they're going to do is when they write that prescription for the cannabis that you are allowed to consume, right? It's going to go over to the dispensaries that are going to be registered in your state, which are going to be basically registered retailers for the cannabis. And those registered retailers from the cannabis industry are going to come in. They're going to pull up their log, right? And it's going to be the OMMU log for Kentucky. And it's going to pull up your doctor's information, where you is at, your mailing, all that, right? But then it's also going to pull up your prescription. And it's like when you go to a pharmacy where like whenever you go to the pharmacy, they have a certain amount that they can give you every 30 days. After that, you have to wait the 30 days before you can purchase again. And no matter how much you want to slide that motherfucker something, he gonna say, no, baby, you ain't worth losing my license. Full circle on them. So I feel like what I didn't do, like I said earlier, was I didn't price check around. And that's something that I wish I would have done. And also actually get people who care about their patients. If you can tell through the whole operation of like communicating and operating with your medical doctor and the people that work in their office for them, if you could tell it's very transactional and that they don't really care and that they're just trying to cut a check and go, that's not the doctor for you. And yes, it's easy, but that's not the doctor for you. I want someone that is going to actually review, ask me how it went. Tell me what I tried, what I didn't. Give me a new recommendation. Up my recommendation when I need it, slow it down if you notice that I'm overusing it. But a lot of the times they don't want to cut that check. They don't want that check to not clear by giving people advice that they don't want to hear. And a lot of people do get that medical card just because it's like, okay, I want the coverage, but don't tell me how to use my cannabis. Just like how everybody acts with all law. Like, don't tell me how to use my gun. Baby, there's still some stipulations. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. There's got to be some mental checks up here. And so I would say I recommend making sure that your provider not only is affordable to you, because they don't always have to run $200, $300. Hell, not even sometimes when they have the new patients, especially whenever they new to the area, they're definitely going to have them new patient deals. Do not let these motherfuckers scam you. Realize you are the consumer. You let them know what you need. Supply, demand. Demand, supply. Whatever way it goes. Other than that, I feel like, let me see what else that I thought was like a problem. The whole issue that I had with it was that we need to be more mindful of who we are choosing to allow our personal information to, our personal health information and our personal information as far as like credit cards, all that stuff. She was like many others that was inclined to, I want this assistance. I'm just going to give him my information. Like, I need the help. Baby, I thought about so many possibilities once I was like, well, did you ever have to give him your information? Like, did you submit it online? Da 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 da. Like, because they do get very much personal. When you're becoming a medical patient, they know every fucking thing. They know everything. Okay? So it's kind of like with them being so much personal with your information, I would be mindful of who you were just choosing to outwardly give your information to. Because the whole point of this story was, after a few weeks of my mom getting her medical card, for the people that's listening on other platforms, right? I'm doing air quotes. For her, she was watching TV that night and she sees the news story pop up. Ooh, local local scamming cannabis physician affecting downtown. Da 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 da. It was something like that, Barrow. I'm like, my brain fried off that one. But basically, they were saying, hey, there was a big thing that popped off that after the regulation and legalization of cannabis in Kentucky, it seems like a lot of these people who are not from the state, because I'm letting you know how it looked to me, that definitely was done from someone that does not operate in Kentucky. That was someone that was operating outside of Kentucky and decided to take their practices to somewhere where they knew there was no education or information exposed. And they took advantage of that situation because a lot of people, the reason why it even got that much attention, it was because a lot of people started calling in, hey, I got scammed by this place. And it took someone, I don't know if it was one of the actual patients that was like lost out on money. They basically exposed that the company had created a little shell operation. It was basically a fake ass office. They used the address of a physical abandoned location. So they was never ever going to be able to meet with any of the patients in person. And I was explaining to my mom, and this is very, very, very much important. And I understand that Kentucky might do it its own way. I understand that Kentucky, because all states operate their medical cannabis program completely different, but to the same extent the same. I was letting her know that whenever I went to my appointments in like on site, it kind of very much felt like I was going to go see my actual primary care. And I'm not saying they're going to give you a whole ass physical up in there, but they definitely going to check your breathing. They're going to know your weight, do your blood pressure when you come in. They're going to do a rundown of your history, not only yours, but your family's history of other certain diseases and things like that in your family. That way they understand how to treat you. Now, this is where I said having that discernment with your medical provider and actually making sure you go to a trusted practitioner is important. Because you want to make sure that they are actually prescribing and giving you treatment based off of your needs and not just like the basis, okay, this is the state, write it off, slide. Because I ran into a lot of issues with that. Not only did I feel like I was very much misinformed originally, because like I was having some bad ass reactions to the medication, and the reason why I call it medication because that's what it is. Meaning some of the bad reactions I had was they never kind of educated me truly on, and this is also why self-education is important, and that's why I took that route. I didn't understand the difference between the dominance effects, terpenes. I didn't understand the importance of, hey, if I have anxiety, but I also have these other pre-existing conditions, why a lot of us had asthma, right? And are smoking and chiefing off of motherfucking leaves and tobacco, any type of leaf, right? Papers, right? When there's other methods of consumption, let's just be honest. You gotta walk around with an inhaler, baby. You shouldn't be walking around with the other inhaler attached, the extendo. You get me? Baby, use some drops. Get you a tea in the morning. Do an edible. Make you a chocolate. Do a topical for pain. Like maybe it is like today you wake up and you're not as anxious. So you're not even treating that, but you notice that you got some back pain. Baby, that's a topical treatment. You don't need an extendo pack for that. Or maybe it's bedtime, right? Maybe it's bedtime. But you got work in the morning. So maybe a full edible is too much. Maybe you need a microdose. Or maybe, baby, you got some medication that you've been taking that you need to stop taking because now it's even being more counteractive with the motherfucking cannabis. Ain't no tea but sipsy. And so, in general, I just kind of felt like there's so much to be learned. But my entire thought behind this entire situation was the fact that, honestly, it is not the people's fault for... It's not my mother's fault for being scammed. It's the lack of knowledge and education and resources out there to people who actually genuinely want help. And that's really what it is. And I feel like that's why the scam was as impactful as it was. I hope that they did not catch the people who did it. I feel like it might be an ongoing investigation. I told my mom to just like let me know and I would check in on it. I've been checking in on it. No new updates as of now. But hopefully they are able to catch these people. Hopefully this conversation was essential to you because it shook me. And then I was just mad because like, girl, you got your daughter right here. You out here getting scammed like you a senior citizen. You ain't even close. So I'm glad that y'all was able to join on today. Thank you for kicking it with Latanya Vibes. And I look forward to having another conversation. Ooh, I think I wanted to tell y'all something. Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna let y'all know I decided to up myself, right? And start making notes that way I can stay on track. Because I love y'all. It's called Elevation for the community, the collective. So like I said earlier, if you are someone in Kentucky that might be interested in cannabis, might be interested in becoming a medical patient, might be interested in going into the industry, I recommend going on that site and doing a little research. And the site is, one last time, kymedcan.ky.gov. kymedcan.ky.gov. Yes, I did that shit like a cheerleader. So I'm going to let you guys know upcoming events, elevated events for this month, right? Your girl's been chilling. God got me in isolation and I just been accepting it and approving in it and like just kind of taking the rest in it because I know that whatever he got me doing next, I'm going to be busy. So, one event, because I'm going to let y'all know there's always something to be done, even if there's nothing to be done. One event is coming from one of my lovely people, one of my lovely souls in my own community of life. Miss Opulent Joy is on Instagram. I gave you her Instagram name. It's opulent.joy. And she has her own little special social networking event coming up next weekend. It's on the 24th and it's going to be at 6 p.m. Yes. Oh, look at me. Okay. So anyways, her event is going to be next week. Come out. She's going to have some beautiful ass vendors. All her events are very fucking much like healing. And the reason why I say they're healing is because they bring the people together to have like those quick little conversations and you get to meet people that you may have never crossed. And so pull up on my girl. Show her a little love. Get your network going. It's the beginning of the year. You got them plans that you wrote down. Socially network them motherfuckers into fruition. I love y'all. Have a good day.